The morning light filtered through the curtains, gently touching Martha Wilson's face. She quietly opened her eyes before the alarm clock rang and gazed at her husband James's profile as he slept beside her, his breathing steady. Even after 15 years of marriage, his features still held traces of the man she'd met on that first day. Lately, however, she felt as though the image of him that her eyes captured was gradually growing distant. Martha worked as an accountant in Miami, Florida, while also being a mother to 2 children. Her day began early, preparing breakfast, making school lunches for the kids, and then heading to work. Despite her busy schedule, she always maintained a smile for her family. "Mom, can I go to the mall with my friends after school today?" asked Emma, her 14-year-old daughter, at the breakfast table. With blue eyes and long chestnut hair, Emma was blossoming into a young woman day by day. Martha smiled and asked, "What time will you be back?" "I'll be home by 6. "All right. But make sure you call me," Martha responded kindly as she served eggs and bacon to her 10-year-old son, Jason. He had his father's brown hair and gentle eyes, and was a bright child with an interest in science and mathematics. "Where's Dad?" Jason asked. "He left early again today. He said he has a big deal," Martha answered quietly, reflecting on James's changes over the past few months. He had been coming home late more frequently and spending weekends away from home, citing important work as the reason. His real estate business had always been busy, but he had never sacrificed family time like this before. Glancing at the family photo hanging on the kitchen wall, she recalled their Hawaiian vacation from 5 years ago during Christmas break. The 4 of them holding hands on the beach, smiling happily. Since then, Martha had been saving methodically for the family's future, college funds for the children, retirement savings, and occasional family trips. Her experience and knowledge as an accountant served the family well in managing their finances. "Mom, I finished my homework. Can you check it?" Jason approached with his math worksheets. Martha smiled and said, "Of course," sitting down beside her son. She was dedicated to her children's education, especially nurturing Jason's talent for mathematics, making time every night to help him study. The clock struck 8, and Martha saw the children off to the school bus stop. "Have a good day," she called after them as she watched them walk away. Emma and Jason were her treasures in life. No matter how busy or tired she was, she had always given them her utmost love and attention. In her car on the way to the office, Martha thought about James again. He was known as a capable salesman at a Miami real estate development company. With his attractive appearance and persuasive manner of speaking, he consistently achieved excellent results. Their marriage had never been perfect, but Martha had always believed they had overcome difficulties together. Lately, though, she couldn't help feeling that an invisible wall had formed between her and James. Their conversations had decreased, and they spent less time together. His cell phone was password protected, and the casual intimacy they once shared was fading. While Martha felt anxious, she maintained a calm exterior for the children's sake, trying to preserve the family's daily routine. It must be work stress, she told herself, though deep down she sensed something major had changed. Yet at that time, Martha could not have imagined the shocking truth awaiting her, nor how dramatically her own life was about to change. When she arrived at the office, her colleague Lisa Johnson greeted her with a warm smile. Lisa was a lawyer partnered with Martha's accounting firm and had been a friend for many years. Noticing the cloud over Martha's expression, she asked, "Are you all right? Something bothering you?" Martha sighed softly and answered with a smile, "Just some things at home, but I'm fine." She wasn't ready to confide in anyone yet. And as usual, she sought temporary escape from her home worries by focusing on work. It was when she dealt with numbers that Martha felt most like herself. On a late September evening marking the end of summer, Martha left work early to return home. The children had gone to their after-school activities, and the house was quiet. She noticed James's laptop on the study table. He had been using it to organize tax documents since last week. Martha decided to open the PC to check necessary materials for next month's tax filing. James won't mind, she assured herself as she entered the password, the date of their wedding anniversary. The screen lit up, and just as she was about to open the document folder, a notification from a messenger app appeared. The sender's name was Caroline Baker. Martha's finger froze. An unfamiliar woman's name. While Martha usually respected others' privacy, something compelled her to open the message. Had such a great time yesterday, Jay. Can't wait to start our new life in the house. Looking forward to watching the sunrise from the beach together, just like you promised. Martha felt the blood drain from her face. She saw numerous past messages appear, intimate conversations, meeting arrangements, and photos. James and a young blonde woman smiling closely together. The location was a Miami restaurant that Martha recognized. The date was last Thursday, when James had said he was at an important business dinner. With trembling hands, Martha scrolled through the conversation history. The first message was from 6 months ago. Caroline Baker, introduced as a new hire in the sales department, had gradually developed a closer relationship with James. And for the past 3 months, they had clearly been having an affair. I can't believe this. Tears welled in Martha's eyes, but she wiped them away. Regaining her accountant's composure, she began searching for more evidence. Email folders, photo folders, and a folder labeled New House Plans. Opening it, she found neatly stored photos and documents of a luxurious beachfront home in Miami. A PDF of the purchase agreement contained James's signature and a shocking amount, $3.8 million. Martha couldn't believe her eyes. There shouldn't be that much money in their joint account. She quickly logged into their online banking service. There, even more shocking truths awaited her. Huge sums had been withdrawn from the special account she had painstakingly built up over the years for the children's college education. Furthermore, a second mortgage had been taken out on their home without her knowledge. The children's future. Amid her anger and sadness, Martha calmly began documenting all the evidence. Conversation histories, contracts, banking records. As an accounting professional, she didn't miss the truths the numbers revealed. That night, after the children were asleep, Martha called her friend Lisa. As a lawyer, she would surely provide the best legal advice for this situation. Stay calm. First, preserve all the evidence. Then we'll apply for an emergency order to freeze the assets. Lisa's calm voice guided Martha, who began quietly initiating legal proceedings the following day. While maintaining a normal appearance on the surface, a quiet battle had begun inside. For the next week, Martha carefully observed James's behavior. He continued coming home late and seemed to avoid spending time with the family. Whenever he was on the phone, he spoke in a hushed voice and chose locations as far from Martha as possible. On a Saturday afternoon, while shopping at the supermarket, Martha noticed a Facebook notification on her smartphone. It announced that James had made a new post. With trembling fingers, she opened the app. Starting a new life with my new love. Finally moving to our dream beachfront home. The photo showed the same mansion she had seen earlier, with James arm in arm with Caroline. His expression revealed a happiness that Martha had never seen during their 15 years of marriage. The comments section overflowed with congratulatory messages. Among them were James's company colleagues, some of whom surely knew Martha. Martha's blood boiled. But she took a deep breath and controlled her emotions. Actions driven by anger would only worsen the situation. Instead, she left a simple comment. Good for you. Just 3 words, but they contained her acceptance of the end of 15 years of marriage and her determination to begin her counterattack. In fact, Martha had already obtained a court order to freeze their assets. The mansion James had purchased with their family savings wasn't legally his yet. It was about to be seized as property purchased with misappropriated funds. From the supermarket parking lot, Martha called Lisa. He's made his move. He's collecting congratulatory messages on Facebook. Perfect. So he's publicly declared that property purchased with misappropriated funds is his. The judge will love this. Martha gave a dark smile. He and that woman plan to move into the new house tomorrow. Are the enforcement officers ready? Everything's arranged. Martha, tomorrow might be the most important day of your life. Are you ready? Martha looked at her reflection in the car mirror. There was no hesitation there anymore. Yes, I'm more prepared than I've ever been in 15 years of marriage. The next day. Under Miami's bright sunshine, the white luxurious beachfront mansion gleamed. James and Caroline, stepping out of their car, laughed happily together, celebrating the beginning of their new life. "Jay, I can't believe we get to live in such a beautiful house," Caroline said excitedly. She was about to instantly acquire what Martha had built over 15 years. As Miami's sun began to set in the west around 4 in the afternoon, 3 figures waited quietly at the front entrance of the beachfront mansion. Martha Wilson, her lawyer friend Lisa Johnson, and court enforcement officer David Morris. The 3 watched from their car as a white BMW convertible passed through the gate. "That's them," Martha said calmly. There was no tremor in her voice. In this final stage of the collapse of her 15-year marriage, she displayed a strength she had never shown before. "Are you ready?" Lisa asked. "Yes, I've never been more prepared in my life." Martha took a deep breath and got out of the car. Dressed in a light beige suit, she stood at the entrance with elegance and determination. The enforcement officer stood beside her, holding a briefcase of legal documents. The white BMW slid into the parking area, and the engine stopped. James was the first to step out. He wore his familiar gray suit, though his tie was more casual than usual. Caroline followed, dressed in a yellow summer dress, as if expressing the brightness of their new life. The 2 continued their smiling conversation as they retrieved luggage from the car, still not aware of Martha's presence. Their footsteps stopped the moment they recognized Martha as they walked toward the entrance. James's expression froze. "Martha. What are you doing here?" His voice mixed confusion and anger. Caroline, unable to grasp the situation, looked back and forth between James and Martha with a puzzled expression. Martha answered calmly. "Beautiful new house. A house bought with our family savings and the children's education fund. Unfortunately, it's not yours." Following Martha's words, the enforcement officer stepped forward. "Mr. James Wilson? I'm here to deliver a court order freezing assets and a complaint regarding misappropriation of funds." The officer extended a blue envelope. The blood visibly drained from James's face. He didn't take the envelope but said in an angry, trembling voice. "What is this? Martha, what have you done?" "What have I done?" Martha stepped closer. "The question is, what have you done, James? You stole over $2 million from our family savings, used up our children's college funds, took out a second mortgage without my or the children's knowledge, and tried to start a new life with your mistress. What have I done?" Caroline's face turned pale. "Jay, is this true?" James exploded in anger. "Whatever you do, this house is mine. I signed the contract. You can't do anything." Lisa stepped forward and calmly said, "Mr. Wilson, you have misappropriated joint family assets. The court has already recognized this fact and issued an order freezing all transactions, including this property. Simply put, this house is not yours." James turned to Caroline in confusion. "Don't worry, this is just a misunderstanding. She's just jealous. We'll resolve this quickly." But Caroline's expression was filled with doubt. "You said you bought this house with your own money, right? Not family money, but your own success bonus." Martha said quietly, "He's been lying, Caroline. You've been deceived too." The enforcement officer again extended the documents. "Mr. Wilson, if you don't accept these, further legal issues will arise." James reluctantly took the papers and read through them. His expression changed from anger to fear. "Caroline, let's get back to the car." We need to leave. I'll contact my lawyer. But Caroline didn't move. Wait. What's going on? Explain this to me. Martha spoke in a gentle voice. Caroline, he lied to you too. The money to buy this house wasn't his. He stole it from our family's joint assets and our children's education fund. Caroline stared at James in shock. Is this true? What does this have to do with our relationship? James couldn't hide his panic. It's just a small financial issue. I'll resolve it quickly. That's not true, Lisa interjected. The court's decision is clear. This property is frozen, and no one can claim ownership until the investigation is complete. This means you cannot live here. James suddenly approached Martha and threatened in a low voice, "You'll regret this. You don't want to make me angry." Martha didn't back down. Threats don't work anymore, James. I'm not afraid anymore. I've been silent for years, but this time is different. I'll fight to protect our children's future. The officer intervened, warning, verbal abuse and threats will be legally recorded. Caroline stood a little distance away, looking at James suspiciously. Everything you told me was a lie? No. Don't believe what she says. James shouted. Martha said quietly, all the evidence is in place. Messages, banking records, everything has been submitted to the court. The sun continued to set, and the mansion's shadow began to cover the three of them. Caroline gradually distanced herself from James. Disappointment and anger showed in her eyes. You told me to quit my job. To start a new life together. But if this is true. She trailed off. Martha signaled the officer and Lisa to step back. She approached Caroline and said quietly. It's not your fault that he lied to you. That's who he is. I didn't realize his true nature for a long time either. Tears welled in Caroline's eyes. I really didn't know anything. I believe you, Martha replied sincerely. James interrupted their conversation and confronted Martha. Listen, Martha. This isn't over. I have lawyers. I'll present a settlement offer. For the children's sake, it's better not to make things worse. Martha smiled. It wasn't a smile of victory, but of liberation. It's too late, James. The time for settlement has passed. You betrayed the family. You should pay the price. As the day waned, the wind from the sea grew stronger. The sound of large waves filled the silence among the three. Caroline, let's go, James tried to grab her arm. Caroline shook off his hand. Don't touch me. I need to know more about you. She met Martha's eyes. A strange sense of solidarity was forming between the two women. A sympathy between victims. Mrs. Wilson, may I have some of your time? I'd like to talk. Martha considered briefly, then nodded. Yes, of course. James was furious. Are you two women going to conspire against me? Lisa calmly said, Mr. Wilson, I advise you not to make this situation worse. For today, please stay away from this property. It's a court order. The sun had completely set, and the beachfront mansion was shrouded in dim shadows. The place that was supposed to be a dream home had become a symbol of a lost future. But in Martha's heart, a new light of hope had begun to glow. James cast one last hateful glance at Martha before returning to his car. Caroline didn't follow him, instead, she walked toward Martha and Lisa. I want to know the truth, she said with a serious expression. Martha nodded. Yes, you have the right to know. As the three women sat on the beach-facing patio and began to talk, Martha experienced a sense of liberation she hadn't felt in a long time. 3 settings of breakfast were laid out on the dining table in Martha's home. Pancakes and fresh fruit, with orange juice. A slightly more luxurious breakfast than usual. This morning, 3 weeks after her victory in court, Martha planned to have an important conversation with her children. "Mom, these pancakes are delicious," Jason said with his mouth full. "Thank you, honey. But please don't talk with food in your mouth," Martha gently admonished. 14-year-old Emma continued eating in silence. She still hadn't fully adapted to her father's betrayal and the family's sudden changes. "Emma, are you all right?" Martha placed her hand on her daughter's shoulder. Emma put down her fork and looked up at her mother. "Dad called again. He says he wants to see us." Martha took a deep breath. James, following the court order, currently had restricted visitation rights with the children. "I see. I'm discussing that with the lawyer. When the appropriate time comes, you'll be able to see Dad." "But did Dad really do bad things?" Jason asked. His eyes, still unable to fully understand his father, were filled with anxiety. Martha looked at her two children. They had the right to know the truth. However, that truth needed to be conveyed appropriately for their age. "Yes, Dad did something wrong. He used our family's money to try to buy another house without telling us. That was against the law, and more importantly, it wasn't honest to the family." Emma raised her face. "Will Dad go to prison?" "We don't know yet, but it's possible." "But that's not what I want to talk about today," Martha changed the subject. "The court says we can use the beach house for now. I want us to decide together whether to move there." The two children showed surprised expressions. Jason's eyes lit up. "That big house? The one with the ocean view?" "Yes, that one." Emma frowned. "But that's the house Dad and that woman were supposed to live in, right?" "I don't like it." Martha nodded understandingly. "I understand how you feel, Emma. That house doesn't hold good memories. But think about it. It's a beautiful house, close to school, and more importantly, it was bought with our family's money. We have the right to use it until the trial is over." Jason was excited. "I want to go. Can we swim at the beach every day?" Emma remained silent, staring out the window. Martha sat beside her and said quietly, "I won't force you. What's most important is that everyone feels comfortable. If you want to stay in our current house, we will." Emma looked at her mother. Her blue eyes reflected the fatigue and confusion from the events of the past few weeks. But a new strength had also been born there. "Can we see the house?" Before deciding. Martha smiled. "Of course. We'll go see it this afternoon, the three of us." That afternoon, Martha and her two children visited the beachfront house. As the evening sun dyed the sea surface golden, the mansion was bathed in warm light. "Wow, what a view!" Jason ran toward the sea. Emma slowly walked through the house, looking at each room one by one. She stood in the top-floor master bedroom, enjoying the view from the balcony. "The view from here is lovely," Martha said, standing next to her. "Yes, but isn't this strange? This was the house Dad was going to live in with that person." Martha placed her hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Emma, this house is just a building. It's the people who live in it that make a home. If we live here, we can fill it with our own memories. And," she continued, choosing her words carefully, "sometimes in life, good things can come from painful experiences. What Dad did was wrong, but as a result, new possibilities may have opened up for us." Emma was quiet for a while, but then suddenly said, "Can I have this room?" Martha was surprised. "The master bedroom? That's usually the parents' room." "I know. But the view from here is amazing, and I want to ruin Dad's plans," Emma said with a small smile on her face. Martha laughed. "Well, I'll consider it." Downstairs, Jason was already running around the spacious living room, planning which room would be his. Seeing her children's reactions, Martha felt that this house might become a symbol of new hope for them. That night, back home, the three gathered around the dining table to talk. "We're a team," Martha said. "From now on, we'll make decisions together, the three of us." Emma thought for a moment before saying, "I think it's okay to live in that house. But I want to change it to make it ours. Not Dad's or that woman's house, but our house." Jason nodded eagerly. "I want the room with blue wallpaper." Martha felt a warmth in her chest as she saw the new hope on her children's faces. After difficult weeks, they were gradually beginning to move forward. "Then it's decided. We'll start preparing to move next week." After the children returned to their rooms, Martha sat alone on the living room sofa, gazing at the starry sky outside the window. Her mobile phone rang, indicating a call from Lisa. "Martha, good news. James's company has started an internal investigation. Evidence has emerged that he was also mishandling company funds." Martha sighed. "I see, his life is crumbling more and more. Honestly, do you feel sorry for him?" Lisa's voice contained surprise. "No, it's not sympathy. Just, watching the life of someone I spent 15 years with collapse is a complex feeling." After hanging up, Martha stood and walked around the house. James's smiling face in the family photos on the wall. The man she once loved. Now just like a stranger. But her heart wasn't imprisoned by the past. Her thoughts were forward-looking. Tomorrow was a meeting of the local support group. A volunteer activity supporting women experiencing divorce and financial difficulties. Using her knowledge as an accountant, she planned to provide financial management advice. Martha smiled as she marked her calendar. She was discovering a new self that she couldn't have imagined before. Strong, independent, and forward-looking. In the quietness of the night, with her children asleep, Martha saw her future more clearly than ever before. It was a future filled not with fear or anxiety, but with possibility and hope. On the patio of the beachfront house, under the autumn sunshine, Martha gazed at the ocean, coffee in hand. A year had passed. Her life had changed in ways she could never have imagined. The final court judgment had been delivered 3 months ago. James, with the added crime of embezzling company funds, was sentenced to 5 years in prison. Until the end, he showed no remorse and never directly apologized to the children. "Is today a special day?" Emma asked, returning from her morning jog and sitting next to her mother. Now 15, she had grown mentally as well over the past year. "Not exactly special, but I was thinking. 1 year ago today, we moved into this house." Emma gazed at the sea and said quietly, "Back then, I didn't think we could be this happy." Martha held her daughter's hand. Over the past year, they had overcome various difficulties as a family. The children had accepted the reality of their father's betrayal while learning much from their mother's strength. Jason's voice called from inside the house. "Mom, Emma. Aunt Lisa is here." Lisa Johnson was no longer just a friend but had become like family. She came out to the terrace, smiling as she held up a small paper bag. "I brought the best bagels in town. To celebrate." "Celebrate what?" Martha asked curiously. "Your new position. Congratulations on becoming the financial director of the Community Support Center." Martha smiled. The volunteer work she had started to help women in difficult financial situations had evolved into her new career. Her experience and accounting expertise were helping to change the lives of many women. As the four enjoyed breakfast on the seaside deck, Jason asked, "Hey, Mom, did you get another letter from Caroline?" Martha nodded. "Yes, she wrote last week. She's started a new job in Chicago. Seems to be doing well." Surprisingly, Caroline and Martha had come to correspond occasionally. United by their common experience as victims, they eventually developed a relationship of mutual respect. Caroline, too, had recovered from James's lies and was rebuilding her life. "Show me more of those California University brochures," Emma said to Lisa. She had come to consider studying law in the future. Martha felt happy, surrounded by family and friends. The lost 15 years of marriage were bitter memories, but through them, she had found her true strength. At dusk, Martha walked alone on the beach. The sound of waves was pleasant, and the sea breeze gently caressed her hair. She looked back at the beachfront mansion that James had once called their dream home. Ironically, that house had now truly become a dream home. But not James's dream, rather, it was the dream of Martha and her children, a symbol of the new happy life they had created. Martha turned back to the sea and took a deep breath. The future was bright and full of possibilities. She finally understood, sometimes the darkest moments in life can open doors to the brightest future.